Hi, welcome. Welcome to the live. Mm. Hi, Liz. Hi, Liz. Welcome. Okay. And Liz left. Yeah. Let's see what's going on out there. Mm, mm. Trying to use that there. Okay. Hi, Amo Grace. Welcome. 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 Hi, Mr. T. I should get my glasses, but it's all the way downstairs. Hi, Simba. Welcome. Welcome to the live. Yeah, hopefully you stay on and watch. It's just going to be a really quick one. I think I got triggered this evening by someone. So yeah, welcome to the live. Welcome everybody. Welcome. This is a very quick live, really. Welcome to the live, everyone. If you're interested, if you're interested in the NHS, yeah, do stay on if you want to hear stuff to do with the NHS. It's just a really quick live. I realized I haven't been on since Saturday, and I thought I should just come back and just have a quick live. So everything to do with the NHS recruitments, writing your supporting statements, filling in your application, going for interviews as well. That's what we talk about in this in on my channel. So my channel is really dedicated to the NHS because I work in the NHS at the moment. Okay, my badge is not here. I work for the NHS as I work for the NHS. So yeah, it's the NHS world in this channel that we do. That's what we do. That's all we do here on this channel. We do NHS application, and also if you even have what's it called? If you have issues like employee relations issues, maybe you're going through grievances, you're going through disciplinary work, for any advice with regards to trying to navigate that, because that's part of my role as well. So, yeah, I can advise you from an HR perspective on that as well. So, yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's going to be a quick live. I'm streaming on two different platforms. I'm streaming on my YouTube. I'm also streaming on TikTok because I realized that TikTok doesn't save your streams, I guess, but YouTube saves the streams. So it kind of gives me that avenue to save my streams and save my lives for people to be able to go back to watch it. Um, Today I had to go into work because I think I told you guys that I was interviewing today. So I've gone to do one part of the interview today, and the next part we'll be doing tomorrow. So fun time for me to go into work. And I think one of the things that's kind of just um what I want to say, that's I think what we've been talking about mostly in the last 2 weeks, I think, on my channel is about the scoring criteria. scoring criteria for the NHS. And this person that came for this interview today, the person was amazing. I think everyone was giving this candidates about fours and threes, and yeah, very good candidates. The candidates, one of them was really good, and I think hearing how that candidate presented himself and talked during that interview really resonated with us in terms of this is what we're looking for. And for this role, I think this is their third time going out to adverts. And yeah, this is their third time going out to adverts. So they were really impressed. But we still have interviews tomorrow. And yeah, we haven't yet offered, but I think we're quite impressed with at least one of them. We're impressed with at least one of them today. And yeah. Oh, I think if you let me just see me to make sure I haven't missed anything. Welcome everybody. I'm sorry I've not been saying hello to you guys that you've been joining. I'm so sorry. Welcome to the live. I think someone said, Elm Elmaine, you said things are really changed. The unfortunate response to applications is now a lot. Yes. Like I said, the interview that I did today, this is the third time we're going out to adverts to tell you how intense and how picky the NHS has now become. It is a buyer's market now because there is a cost saving that every NHS organization has been mandated to do. So we are looking for the best of the best. We're not just taking you and then we say, okay, we'll train you. We are looking for the best of the best out there. So we need to ensure that the people that we get into the trust are the right set of people. So that hence the reason why the unfortunately is so high. You need to ensure that you're answering your questions, your application form, your supporting information, the way your application form has been written is top notch. You need to ensure that that's top notch. So hence the reason why, unfortunately, it's very high because more managers are now being very picky. They're what they want is expanded in terms of the criteria for they could have taken someone that maybe they scored all threes around during the interviews, but now they'll be like, no, we don't want this person. That my threshold maybe out of six questions, each score is like told you guys is five, and out of that five, so it's six and that's 30. So they said the person must score at least a minimum of 25 for them to be willing to take that person on. And if no one got 25, we're going back out to advert. It is a buyer's market, and that's why that unfortunate is very high. We need to save costs. There's cost cutting everywhere. And as much as there's cost cutting, we're still recruiting, but excuse me, but it is a buyer's market now. Managers, recruiting managers are very picky in terms of what they're looking for in each candidate. So yes, that's the reason why. Welcome everybody. Welcome. I'm just going through the questions. What about AI checks? Do you advise to use ChatGPT? With ChatGPT, I've always said I don't like people using ChatGPT, but with ChatGPT, if you've written the supporting statement by yourself in the first instance, ChatGPT can help you enhance it. But the basis of that supporting statement has been done by you and it is written by human. There are words that ChatGPT would use that it's not a normal word. So you need to be careful. Sorry, guys. Uh, sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I think my daughter's calling me. Let me just pause this live for a minute. Eunice,
Hello?
are you done? Are you done?
Kira's here as well. You told me to tell you if Kira's here. I forgot, so I'll tell you now.
Okay. So sorry about that. Sorry. Yeah. As I was saying, with regards to the AI checks, I always say write it first yourself. Then you might then decide to send it to ChatGPT to help you to refine it. But the thing about using that sometimes it still doesn't sound human. A lot of trust, unless they said it to you that you could use AI to generate your supporting statement or write your application, I would suggest that you shouldn't use it, because that's one of the things that we're using to cut people out. Like in my trust, we use AI checks. And once we realize that your supporting statement has been written by AI, that's an automatic rejection. So you need to ensure that you're not using AI check, especially when they've put it in the instruction or the job adverts to say, do not use AI to write this thing, or do not use AI to generate your supporting information. Once they've said it there, you would need to believe that that trust would use an AI checker to see if that has been written by it, is AI generated. You might be lucky, you might get away with it. The manager might be lazy and not do an AI check on each of the supporting statements. But I would always say to all my clients that don't use AI to write it. That's why when I say to my clients that I'm helping them to write their supporting statements, or if I'm even doing like a supporting statement check for you, it takes me hours to look at it and to refine it and to rewrite it for you properly. If you've paid for the service for me helping you to rewrite your supporting information, that's after you've already written it yourself. So I'll help you refine it and rewrite it in the best way. But I wouldn't, anyway, that's conversations for another thing. So what I say to them is send it to me once you've written it. If that's the service you've paid for, then I'll help you rewrite it to make sure that it sounds very good. If you're doing the one-to-one session with me, then we would write it together. Then it takes hours for us to craft this supporting statement. Once we have the shell of the supporting statement, it's just so much better for us to be able to then put it into the your NHS application to write it there. So I would always suggest, especially for trust that says don't use AI, I would always say don't use it. It just saves you a whole lot of a hassle of the whole application process. There are some civil service jobs that encourages you to use AI, but those are the ones that have encouraged you to use AI. But when they've said don't use it, I would suggest you shouldn't use it. I hope that answers your question, Almin. I'm just going through this to make sure I haven't missed anybody. Yes, I don't think I've missed any more questions. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. Um, so yeah. So that's with regards to AI. But with regards to your interviewing, I think from what I've seen over the last couple of weeks with me coaching people for interviewing, I think a lot of people that do get shortlisted for interviews, you would need to ensure that you're practicing before you go for your interview. Although you feel as if you know the answer, I would suggest that you practice before you go for your interview. Practice in front of a mirror, practice by speaking to someone, practice getting a coach. You might feel as if you don't need someone to coach you or someone that regularly sits on an interview panel to coach you to be able to ensure that you're answering the right questions or answering the questions properly. You might feel as if you don't need it, but in reality, a lot of us need it. I need a coach as well when I'm preparing for my interviews as well. My friend who is excuse me, my friend who we work together, when either one of us are going for interviewing, we kind of bounce off each other and we kind of practice. So if she's going for an interview, she would practice with me and she will call me when we'll have that telephone call and all that. And we will practice together. And if I'm going for an interview, we'll practice together. I've gone for loads of jobs in the past, even in present as well, where some of them I haven't gotten, and most of them have gotten. And it all boils down to the preference of the interviewers. It all boils down to how you've answered your question. It also boils down to what the person is actually looking for. Sometimes the managers is looking for this fairy that doesn't exist. So it really boils down to that. So yeah, depending on what they want will determine how best you are seen on that day. So practice, practice, practice is always the best thing for you to do when you're going for your interview, because you might feel as if you've answered the question, but truthfully, when someone hears it, or when someone that's is in that position, you don't even when somebody I'm just trying to explain to you that you don't necessarily need to you don't necessarily need to get what's it called someone to pay a coach or pay a consultant to do the interview with you. But the benefits of having that person there is because that person does this on a regular basis, that person hears it, and that person is there are certain things that that person is looking for in that answer, for that person to be able to tell you that, oh, you're answering the question, or you're not answering the question. That's what it's about in terms of having that coach, having that one-to-one person to speak to. Because if you're there, I've asked you, I can't remember, we asked, okay, like this interview I went for today, it was for a band 8B position, and we only asked 6 questions, even though those 6 questions had children in them. The person was still able to be articulate. The person was still able to get, or one of the people, or one of the persons that we interviewed today was still able to be very articulate, and the other person, it was a bit in terms of how that person answered the question. So that person was answering questions of, oh, yeah, could you repeat that? Oh, yeah, um, okay. So that's how that person was sounding during that interview. And if you have someone that's sounding that way, it's not the best. So you need to ensure that you're confident when you're answering the question. Sometimes you might have to use the B word to just answer that question. You try your best, but at the back of your mind, when you record yourself, especially when you're practicing for your interview, record yourself, ask your question. This is the question. How would you let me look for a question. I think I was going through one of the it's a bit question. Yeah, let me see this one. Ooh, okay. Let me look for a question for you guys that I did yesterday with one of my clients. I'm just trying to find a question for you guys. Because I have a whole lot of spreadsheets that I use for those questions. So determine. Let's see, is this one of them? Sorry. Oh my goodness. Um, so one of the questions is, in a recovery, a colleague refuses to help with the patient transfer, saying it is not their role. How would you approach this colleague, or how would you approach this situation? So what you would need to say in this kind of situation is you would need to ensure that you remain calm, and you need to try and ensure that you remain approachable and professional at the same time. You need to also make sure that you're focusing on the patient, as depending on what is going on, because this person has come up being what's called is in recovery, and their person is confused. So you need to ensure that the patient takes priority. So that's your compassion, your care, your focus on patient care, patient quality as well. So that's all you need to ensure that you're saying. And you need to ensure that you're giving star answers in in the answers that you're given. Okay. So one of the questions that we do ask is, why do you want to work? I always said it, that that's one of our first questions, that why do you want to work for us? Why did you decide to apply for this job? So you need to always ensure that those answers are always at the back of your mind. And I think when I was talking to my one of my clients yesterday, what I kept having to tell her was she needed to put the star in her mind when she's answering that question. When you're answering question with star at the back of your mind, it's so much easier for you to be able to frame your thoughts. So when you're talking about star, you talk about the situation, what happened, what is the situation that has drawn you to that, what's okay. So for example, um let me see one question here. uh hmm. Okay, how would you manage competing priorities when caring for multiple patients? So the situation in this case for managing competing priorities for caring when caring for multiple patients is, the situation is you have a lot of patients that need your attention at the same time. You have so many other things that you need to do. You need to look after your patients. You need to dayticks. You need to do your notes. You need to do observations. You have a lot of things that you need to do. So that's the situation that you're in. Your task in this situation is you need to prioritize what is urgent while ensuring that all the patients are safe. The action that you need to do is, what exactly did you do? Did you have to triage? Did you have to monitor? Did you have to escalate? Did you have to delegate roles? Did you have to um, ensure that everyone is looked after? Did you have to keep people updated? So everything that you did around that situation of managing all these competing priorities, because all of them are due at the same time, and but you still also had to look after your patient. So that's the action. The situation is competing priorities. The task was to make sure that nothing falls by the wayside. The action is, what did you do during that situation to ensure that everything was done properly? And the result was everybody was safe. You did your documentation. Everything that you needed to do was you delegated it. The quality of care that you provided, the care delivery was on top notch. You had to all the things that you had to do was done in time, even though there was a lot of pressure. And what you reflected, because I always say, always put an extra R in terms of the reflection. What the NHS is now looking at now, a lot of trusts are now doing reflective practice. So you need to ensure that you're reflecting on what has happened. So ensure that patient safety is maintained. You reflected that although it was a busy word, you needed to ensure that everything was prioritized. You reflected on the care that you gave. You felt that maybe some things you could have delegated a bit quicker, but you left it too late. Even though everybody was safe at the end, you will realize that, okay, in retrospect, I would need to start delegating quicker. I would need to ensure that everyone is looked after. I would need to escalate as quickly as possible. Those are reflexive pieces that you will need to do when you've said your answer. So that is how you would answer that question during an interview, ensuring that what's it called? Um, you answered all the questions. Oh yeah, you said you need my email. I'm going to reply to your message. Hopefully, you can find my email. You can see my email. Sorry, not find it. Um, yeah, thanks for the gift as well. So I think that's how to answer questions, because with interviewing, you need to ensure that you have that star at the back of your mind with interviewing and answering questions during interview. So that was a question of managing priorities. And also, when you're going for an interview, if you've been successfully shortlisted for an interview and you're going for an interview, you need to ensure that you've practiced your job description and person specification is your best friend. If you look at the person specification, it would have highlighted to you every area that you'll be asked questions during that interview. So those are the areas that you need to focus on. With the NHS, we have we have different criteria of how we ask questions. So you would know that if you're going for a healthcare role, there will be questions about patient care and patient safety. There will be questions about safeguarding in healthcare assistance, any nursing role, mental health nursing, LGN nursing, and all that. You will know that there will be questions around patient care. There'll be questions about safeguarding. You'll have questions about teamwork. You will have questions about collaboration. You will have questions about adaptability, working under pressure. You will have questions around time management. You will have questions about communication. So, those are the key areas you need to focus on when you're preparing for your interview. You need to focus on those areas when you're preparing for an interview. So if you have those at the back of your mind that yeah, I'm going to be going for an interview and I know these are the areas that normally comes out. It's not rocket science really for NHS interview. We're not, would I use the right word, creative in terms of these are normal areas. This is what is expected of you in the role. So these are normal areas that you should expect questions to come out. And if you look at your person specification, it would have told you those are areas that would come out. So if you're preparing two different scenarios for team working, if you're preparing two different scenarios for time management, that you know if they ask you any questions about time management, this is what I'm going to say based on how they've asked that question. If you prepare two different scenarios of how you've been able to work under pressure, your adaptability and all that, you would know that okay, I have this two at the back of my head. I'll be able to get it. So that's why with NHS, when you go for an interview, they'll give you at least 5 days notice for your interview. They'll give you 5 days notice at least for your interview, for you to come for the interview. It's very rare that they will give you like 3 days notice, at least 5 days. Those 5 days, you need to use it wisely to prepare for your interview. Yeah. Um, Elman said one of the issues of supporting statement again. Okay, is there a structured way you would advise to use? Yeah. Yes, I like structure. When I'm reviewing supporting statements, I like structure. I like it structured how it has been written in the person specification. It's just so much easier for me to it's so much easier for me to read and it's so much easier for me to score. If I see your application and it's just scattered all over the place, it just makes me tired. As in, I just, oh Lord, that means I have to work really hard to be able to score you perfectly. I do take my time in reading everything, but it just takes a longer time for me to be able to score perfectly for that supporting statement. But if you've done it according to the headings on the person specification, for the person that is marking or the person that is scoring your application, it's just so much easier. And the person can easily see how you've answered those sections properly. And that just makes it easier. And I think if you implement that, you would see that you're getting less, unfortunately, if you take it one by one and answering each of those bullet points of this person specification, you see that you're getting a lot less, what's it called? Unfortunately, with your applications. We're not having any hearts today. What's going on? Yeah. So um I have an interview next week. What bank did you say were you about to say with bank? What bank facilities assistance or questions are the same? I'm sorry, Connie, could you retype? Connie, could you retype that question because I don't really understand. Connie, if you retype your question, it will be good. Um, um, 1 minute, please. Sorry about that. Family life. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Connie, if you retype your question, I'll be able to come back to you with that, with the answer to that question. Um, what bank is it? What of bank facilities assistance or questions are the same? Retype your question, Connie, so I can get back to you. Ruth MG, I got to interview unfortunately today. One I got before I got home today. I knew I killed a show. I'm really sorry about that, Ruth. I'm really sorry. How did you feel that the interview went? You have to be truthful with yourself. You need to have that self-awareness with yourself, firstly, to say, oh, I don't think I did very well, or I don't think I answered those questions properly. Firstly, be truthful to yourself. And if you're truthful to yourself, did you think you really did very well during that interview? The interview might have been tough. And like I said previously, with interviewing now, it is the buyer's market, is the trust market. We have our purse strings have all been tied now in terms of we're not having surplus money to just keep hiring and over establishing our teams. We don't have that money, that luxury anymore. So they are much more discerning in terms of they're much more discerning in terms of the people that they do bring in. Like I said to you previously, we could hire someone that had all threes during their interview scoring, and that's not a problem. Now we're looking for fours, we're looking for fives for you to be answering those questions and hitting those high scores during your interview. That's why we're more discerning. Like I said previously at the beginning, that the interview that I did today, or I went to sit on the panel today, this is the third time they're putting that job out for an advert. This is the third time that they're putting that job for an advert. And I'm hoping that at the end of today's or tomorrow's interview, we'll be able to find someone, because sometimes it gets boring asking the same questions over and over again to try and get the right person. That's how picky a lot of recruiting managers are now. So it might not even be that job has been filled, Ruth. It might just be that they're just so picky. They're trying to find this unicorn. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. They're trying to find this unicorn that does not exist in most cases. So managers now become so picky that they would do interviews over and over again until they're like, you know what, they end up picking nonsense at the end of the day. But sometimes the managers, they know what they're looking for and they will not stop until they get it right, because they've been burnt sometimes in the past, because they've gotten the wrong people, and that's a long process to get someone out from the NHS. That's a lot of from probation. If you don't manage the probation properly, then you have to do capability. If you don't manage capability process properly, it just keeps on getting longer and longer for you to be able to get that person out of that role, unless that person decides to leave the role by themselves when they start going through all these different processes and all that. But sometimes the managers, they do have what's it called, a reason as to why they're very picky. You might end up seeing that role being advertised again, and I was wondering, oh, but I went for this interview. Oh, I'm surprised that this role has been advertised again. And then they will now say previous applicants need not apply. Along those lines, they'll put it at the bottom. That means if you see that in any job that you're applying for, that means this is not the first time of them trying to look for someone to fill this role. This is the second or third or fourth time they're going out to adverts. So that means that manager is very picky. That means that manager is looking for something particular. Hence the reason why they're having to go back out several times. The role that we are interviewing for now, it's a very specialist role. We need someone that is going to hit the ground running. We need someone that is on the same page as the head of that team, for them to be on the same page, for them to be able to work together collaboratively. So I think that's the reason why this role has been advertised third time. We're hoping it's third time lucky. We'll never know until we finish the interviewing tomorrow. Yeah. Ruth, so I want you to just not let what has happened today affect you. I want you to keep going. For you to have gotten through to the shortlisting stage, it does a feat on its own. But you not just know that you have to keep going. You don't need to let that. Don't be disheartened about that. Just keep going, and you would get there. Okay, you would get there. Um, yeah, I think Connie didn't read your message properly because I think she saw the part of what you said at the last three words. I think that's what she thought was the good news. But yeah, yeah. Elmaine said, do you think it's better to use the specification on the job post or the complete one in the doc? I would say use the complete one in the document because sometimes, or I remember when I used to post out jobs or be the recruiting manager, and I was the one that used to post the jobs on track. Sometimes I just get tired posting it on because I have to copy and paste from I had my two screens. Then now I'm gonna have to copy and paste from the document into the track section. Then I have to spacing because I'm quite pedantic when I'm doing stuff. I'll have to space, I'll have to do this, I'll have to do that. Sometimes I just get tired and I don't post everything. I'll probably just put one or two things. But the document itself has the full thing. So always use the document itself. Do not rely on what has been posted on the advert because it might not be the full thing. You might have a recruiting manager or a recruiting officer that is lazy like me that would not put the whole thing on there and would need for you to go and read the documents that have been attached to the job advert. So always use the documents that have been attached to the job advert to apply for the role, especially when you're trying to write your supporting information. I hope that answers your question, Almin. And you said the interview was great because it's a role I've done, interviewed twice. Is a role you've done, interviewed twice. I was surprised. So does that mean that you've interviewed? So if it's a role that you've done, does that mean that you're currently doing that role or you've left that role and you're doing something else? And or does that mean that you're currently in that role and you applied for your role and you didn't get it? Is that what it is? Yeah. Let me tell you guys this funny story. It's not a funny story. It's something that happened to me a couple of years ago. Would you believe that I was doing a role in a fixed term contract role? Oh my goodness, my forehead. I was doing a role as a fixed term contract and I went for maternity. By the time I was coming back from maternity leave, the manager emailed me or called, I think she emailed me to let me know that the role would now be made permanent. Then she encouraged me to apply for my role because I was on maternity leave. Then I came back from maternity leave and encouraged me to apply for my role. Would you believe that I applied for my role? I was shortlisted for my role. I interviewed for my role and I did not get my job, the job I've been doing. I think I will put that down in a funny way because I've been out of work for a bit, for about nearly 9 months on maternity leave. And the person that was covering my maternity leave was the person that got the job. So that made me angry, considering the fact that so for example, if I came back from maternity leave on the 1st of October and they will tell you that you are interviewing on the 3rd of October. So you've been out of the business for about 9 months and you're interviewing for the same role that you've done, even though you've been out of it. My brain uptake in terms of explaining my cases and explaining what I did and all that wasn't as sharp as it should have been, even though I was preparing for the role. But I've been out of the business for about 9 months, and the other person got the job. I was very upset about it. And that foiled me to say, do you know what? This is nonsense. This is nonsense. And I wasn't going to stand for it. So I wanted to raise a grievance, but I ended up not doing that. So then I saw another role advertised on track for a more senior role in the NHS as well. Then I applied for that one. I got shortlisted, I interviewed, and I got the job. So sometimes it's not about currently doing the job or whatnot. It's about what has happened in that break. If there's been a break, has there been a break? What has happened? That might have been the reason why you weren't successful. So if you've had a break, like me when I was doing my maternity, I wasn't as my uptake in terms of explaining what I did and answering those questions wasn't as quick. But then giving me about maybe 2 weeks back into the business, applying for the next role, getting called for an interview, then going for that job and getting even a higher banded role, that to me says that I know what I'm talking about. So in terms of you feeling bad, I think I'm trying to encourage Ruth MG now about this interview that you went for. If that's the kind of scenario that it's something close to what has happened to you with the role, if it's something like that, then you shouldn't feel despondent. Keep going, keep applying, especially the fact that you're getting interviews. Keep going, but you might also need to hire a coach like myself or somebody else to help you ensure that you're structuring your answers properly during your interview. Because if you're not structuring your answers properly and you're just scattered all over the place, it's not always easy for the panel to be able to try to get the answer of what you're trying to say. If it's a bit scattered, it's not always good. So you need to ensure that you have that star, like I said at the beginning, that star answers at the back of your mind to ensure that that's what you're using to structure your answer when giving your answer to the panel. I hope that answered your question, Ruth. MG. I have an interview next week for a position of bank facilities assistant. Any pointers? Okay. Okay. With that interview for the bank facilities assistance, congratulations first, Connie. I would advise for you to go and use the person specification and the job description to really read the job description, because those job descriptions, it takes us time to craft those job descriptions. So you need to, so it takes us time, sorry, a message just popped up. It takes us time for us to craft that job description. I've done the training of writing job descriptions and I kind of evaluate job description as part of my role as well. I have a lot of hats that I wear. So writing those job descriptions with the managers is days on end, sometimes weeks before we finish writing a job description. So read it because they've taken enough time to tell you what you're going to be doing in that role. You need to understand what that role entails. When you understand what the role entails, it helps you structure your answers as to what they're expecting to hear. So that's a kind of a good tidbit for you to understand what the job is about. So they've structured it into different sections for you. You see some job description that is 15 pages, 10 pages, because they've really taken time to put that job description together. It's a lot of pain and a lot of stress and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears sometimes. So, yeah, maybe because I do that as part of my role as well, I know what it entails to write those job descriptions. So, use the job description and especially the person specification to prepare for your interview. Film yourself, record yourself, talk to yourself in the mirror, get a coach to be able to help you to answer those questions and structure your answers properly using the star with the extra hour for reflection to prepare for your interview. I hope that answers your question, Connie. Um, yeah. You're welcome, Ruth. I hope that does make sense. Yeah. Can I share one scenario and show how each of the specification is expressed in that one scenario? Is this Elman? Is this for the supporting information? or is this for interviewing? You need to be specific for me to be able to know how best to answer your question. Um oh, okay. Connie has corrected herself. I'm just trying to ensure that I'm answering everyone. Yeah. I forgot to mention ever since I've been here for a bit now. I forgot to mention to everyone that I also have a YouTube channel where I have loads of videos for people that feel they don't want to pay for my services. I have loads of videos on my YouTube channel where I talk about supporting information. I have done two, three, four, five, six interview questions and answers, most of them real interview questions and answers from interviews that I've sat on. Real interview questions. Oh, sorry. That was my phone dropping. Real interview questions and answers from interviews that I've sat on to help people understand what is expected of them during those interviews. Those interview questions and answers, um, they have star answers in them. So it's not just me giving you interview questions and answer. I kind of explained it and I gave you star answers as well during those interview questions and answers. So if you see those videos, it's your HR ally on YouTube. So please go and subscribe to my channel, watch the videos. Um, I think what even made me remember about my YouTube channel is the question from Omar Classic, that are there mistakes we can avoid when writing supporting statements. If you go and watch my supporting statement videos on YouTube, I have two videos now. I've updated my first one, the first supporting statements information, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of people that have used those supporting information that I've done there, and they've been able to change the way they've written their supporting statement, and I've then been able to go ahead to then have interviews in NHS trusts, and some of them have been successful in getting hired in the NHS. So yeah, so go on YouTube and watch those videos if you don't want to pay for my services. My services are one-to-one services. And I do, like I do say, I do charge for my services. If you want me to help you, um, yeah, if you want me, sorry, my daughter just came. If you want me to help you with writing your supporting statements, reviewing your supporting statement, checking your applications, interview prep, interview coaching, I do offer those services. So if you need that service, please reach out to me and I would be able to help you. You can send me a message on here. You can send me a message on YouTube. You can send me an email to my email address. It's the human resources playbook@gmail.com. I'm going to pin my ans my I'm going to pin my email address. I don't know how to pin. I keep telling you guys that I don't know how to pin my email address because it never lets me pin it. I tried to pin it. It never lets me pin it. It never lets me pin it. I'm trying to pin it. Pin comment. It never just lets me pin it. I don't know. I've tried several times to learn how to do it. Yeah, it never lets me pin it. So yeah, if you want to reach out to me for that one-to-one session, please do email me on that what's called on that email address. Yeah. Oh, Connie, thank you. It's an inspiring story, and I did from there. I think I didn't let that put me down in terms of the experience I had with that one. And the good thing about I think the other still of your head. The other silver lining about that job was because I was on a fixed term contract, and I I have service as well. I was I was able to stop. Sorry, my daughter's distracting me. So because I was on a fixed term contract, and because I've already qualified for service as well, I was paid redundancy. So I didn't end up losing out at the end of the day with that role. Anyway, it was to me, I think at the end of the day, it was like a blessing in disguise. I got some money out of it, and I was able to get a better paying job as well. So it was kind of like two wins for me. Yeah, at the same time. So yeah. that was a good outcome at the end of the day. They thought they did me bad, but God showed up for me at the end of the day. So that's how I would classify that. Yeah. So mistakes we can avoid when writing supporting statements. I think I have a video on my YouTube channel called Mistakes You Need to Avoid. Don't write in capitals. What else? Yes, I can bring my blue notebook in the room for me. Yeah. I have like I think seven or so different seven or so different things that you need to avoid, especially for writing what's it called, your applications in the NHS. That video is on my YouTube channel. So yeah, you can go and watch that. It's in Eunice's room. Yeah. So yeah, once I have my book, I'll probably give you. Yeah. So what do you need with the supporting information? Yeah, that one. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me just see if I have it in here. Uh, oh Lord, I'm just trying to see what I have. This is my book that I use for. Yeah. Also like interview questions and answers that I've done. Yeah, it's a lot. Um, I can find it. It's not in this one. Yeah. So so many things you need to avoid. Don't write in capital letters. Make sure that you check your grammar. Ensure that you write in perfect tenses. Don't use ChatGPT really. Loads of stuff that you need to ensure that you're not doing when you're writing your applications. I don't think there's any more questions. Yeah. Well, the one scenario for the supporting statement. What scenario for the supporting statement, Elmaine? Yeah, let me know what you mean by what the one scenario for supporting statements. Yeah, I will soon have to jump off, guys. You asked a question previously about, let me look through. Uh, supporting information. I'm just going through my chats to find out what Elmaine is trying to explain. Can I share one scenario and show how each of the specification is expressed in that one scenario? Is that for I think I asked. Oh yes, you said for supporting state. Okay, I get you now. For supporting statement, yes, you can, but we don't want to be seeing repetitive information in the supporting statement. Excuse me. You need to try and vary it out as much as possible and give more examples because if you've worked in any place, you would have more than one example that relates to one situation. So in terms of collaboration and team working, you'll have had every day you have situations that relate to collaboration and team working. So you need to be able to express that quickly in your supporting information. With the supporting information, you don't have time to do the star answer. The star answer comes more during the interviewing. So it's not during the supporting statement. What we need from you during the supporting statement is quick explanation in few words. You only have 1,500 words that you only have 1,500 words that you are able to write in your supporting information. So you need to ensure that you are maximizing that, um, you are maximizing those words properly. That's why some people tend to use AI, but AI can help you if you've written so much. So, for example, me that I like to write so much, when I write my supporting information, it does take me hours on end to start cutting down, to start refining. And instead of using three words for one thing, I'll use one word. So I would look for a way to write it in a better way than having to just use one word. So in that kind of situation, I tend to spend a long time writing that supporting statement. Like my clients now, when we do those ones that have the one-to-one sessions with me, it does take us a while. I think after a while, I'll just feel like, I'll finish this up for you, because I think it just when I start talking and they start explaining and we start writing it together, they will realize the amount of work it does take. But once you have like a blueprint or a template or a big shell for one, if you're applying for RGN roles, most of the job descriptions are quite similar, so you can always tailor them. But since you already had a very good base, it's just like trying to make a very nice stew or trying to make a jollof rice. You once your base is good, once the base that your pepper sauce is nice, your jollof rice in most cases will turn out delicious. Once that base is good, once the base is okay, your jollof rice will turn out perfectly, as long as you do it the right way and follow the right instructions and all that. So once you have that base for your supporting statement, especially if you're applying for the same similar kind of roles, RMN, LGN, whatever role it is, mental health nurses and all that. Once that's perfect, you don't need to really bother much about it, but you just need to make sure that you're tailoring each of the application to that specific job description and person specification. And that's another common mistake I'm seeing from a lot of people, because people are applying for loads and loads of jobs. They're not tailoring their applications, or the application that they've applied for the trust in Liverpool is the same one they're going to use for the trust in Manchester, because the role that they're applying for is the same name, but what's your duties and responsibilities on that team might be different. So yeah, you need to ensure that you're tailoring your application to that specific job always. Hi Farida. Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming. If you use your if you use AI to edit your original, that's why I said I'm not a big fan of the AI business. If you use it to edit it, in most cases, it wouldn't reward the whole thing for you. That what I've seen, anyways. It wouldn't reward the whole thing for you. It would just help you elevate it a bit in terms of how it's been written, how it's been structured. Maybe you've put something here. Maybe you were meant to put brought, you put bring or something like that. It kind of helps you kind of makes it tenses, intenses, or your tenses there. But one thing I use mostly for my write-ups is something called Grammarly. It helps me write like a professional. So with Grammarly, I've written this sentence now, and I'll probably said some members define clowning as a biscuit. Then with Grammarly, maybe I didn't put comma, I didn't put full stop and things like that. It would help me reshape it to make sure that it's I have the right punctuations in the right places. So like like I said at since the beginning, AI and I, we don't really mix much, but I would always ensure that I do check my work always to ensure that the tenses are perfect. I use spell checker because most of when I'm writing my supporting statements, I write them in Word at first. So I'll use the spelling and grammar to kind of write it properly for me as well. So that's what the same thing as the thing I use in Grammarly does for me. Kind of spellings and grammar. That's what it really does for me with the Grammarly, to make sure that it's written properly in terms of the grammar and the spellings. So I write 90% of my supporting information in Word, then I transpose it or transfer it into the into track, just to make sure that I'm spelling properly, my punctuation is perfect and all that. Yeah. Um, what else? So I hope, yeah. Farida, what request do you want to send? Let me know what request you want to send. Um, Kahid, what should one do if interview seems unconvinced? The interviewers seem unconvinced and you become confused during the interview. I would always tell you to stop talking and ask them to repeat the question. And I think you can kind of sense if you're looking at the interviewers and they're already having the glazed eyes, they've stopped writing. You can always tell when they don't feel as if you're answering that question. They would the tenacity of how they write is going to be reduced. They will look at you directly more when you are not answering the question properly. And at the back of your mind, you start looking at them like, okay, that doesn't seem as if I'm answering the question. They're looking more at you instead of writing when you're talking. So I would always suggest for you, KZ, for you to stop talking and ask them to repeat the question and just say, I don't think I'm answering the question properly. Could I please hear the question again? And I think one thing that the manager, the head of the team that I was recruiting into today, what she did was print out a score or the interview questions for the person that was interviewed, and the person had the interview questions in front of them, and for them to be able to refer to or for them to be able to read if they got lost in the question that was asked. Like I said to you, that the question that was asked was most of them were like two A and B kind of question into one. So you have a right to say, okay, let me answer the first part, then I'll go to the second part. Or by the time you finish answering the first part, you've already forgotten what the second part of the question is. Then you can always ask them to say, could you please repeat the question? And one thing that a lot of people don't know is you can actually bring in a crib sheet into the interview. You can make some notes as to how to answer questions into the interview. So you that you're going to just ask them that I brought in just kind of some prompts for me to be able to remember some of my points. Is it okay for me to have it here? And in most cases, we'll always say yes. I've never said no to anyone that said, oh, they wanted to use a crib sheet to answer questions or for it to be there for it to be there for them to use it to answer questions or for them to kind of like a prompt for them. So like I said to you, that you know you're going to be going for interview, that you know that there will be questions about time management. Write just look for ways to write time management questions in terms of this is what I'm going to talk about. This is the if you write the first couple of lines, you should be able to remember the rest of it. That's the reason why you should practice. If you're the one writing it, you should be able to remember what you've written in your paper. So your crib sheet is for, okay, I need two scenarios for time management. When they ask me questions about time management, I'm just going to quickly have a quick glance at my paper and just, okay, this is the one I'm going to use for to answer that question. Then you do that. Or they're going to ask you about working under pressure. Already written your working under pressure topic, and these are the two scenarios that you've already written, that these are the answers to those questions for you. So that might be another way for people that are getting flustered to be able to answer those questions. And there isn't anything wrong with doing that. Always just tell them when you're sitting down, I have a crib sheet here that I'm going to be using for answers, because I want to make sure that I'm answering all the questions properly. Just yeah, I didn't plan on staying this long on this live. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm trying to I'm trying to see. Thank you all for liking this live as well. I really appreciate it. Oh, Farida, you want to join as a guest? Okay. One moment, Farida. Bear with me. What's what of the dress code when going for an interview? I think you should dress in something that is comfortable. Wear a nice soft dress. You can wear trousers, you can wear anything that you feel comfortable in. Just wear it to your interview. I think That would help. That would help. Just wear something that you're comfortable in. Don't overdress. Don't use too much makeup. Don't use too much perfume. Just minimal. Be yourself as well. I had one of my clients that was worried that she had colored hair, and I don't think that would detract from who you are. If that's your personality to have blue, crazy green hair, that's your personality. And they might even welcome that in that team to have that diverse workforce because the NHS is all about diversity and inclusion. So that might even be a good score for you because they might not have someone like that in their team and they want to be seen as a very diverse organization. When I was at the civil service for a bit, we did something called positive discrimination where we hired only men into a certain team. And when we were shortlisting, did not shortlist any women, we only shortlisted men. That's positive discrimination because we needed to get more people into that team. So that might be another way of you, if you're eclectic or a certain personality or a certain sexual orientation and all that, they might not have that in that team. And that might be a way for you to be able to integrate into that team, and that might even be a bonus for you as part of your of interview. Yeah, yeah. Farida, are you talking about marking down for you bringing the crib sheet into it? I've never marked anyone down for having a crib sheet during an interview. I've never. Oh, thank you so much, Kola. I appreciate it. Thank you. I've never marked down anyone for bringing in a crib sheet into an interview. You've told them that you have a crib sheet here that you might refer to during this interview. Sometimes they don't refer to it, they just have it there just for confidence booster, but doesn't mean we're going to mark you down for having that prompt. A lot of people learn differently, and the NHS is all about inclusion. We're a very diverse organization. We're supportive. How about when I was recruiting for people with learning disabilities, where we had to we gave them the questions beforehand before they actually did the interview. We've given them the questions a couple of days before their interview for them to be able to practice. We helped them in applying for the jobs, so they came into the trust and applied for the jobs. We had dedicated recruitment officers sitting next to them to apply for the jobs with them. In most cases is the recruiting officer that was typing everything into track for them. So it depends on the ability of the person. That shouldn't be a cross, or that shouldn't be a markdown for you. So that's why, from me that I sit on the panel, from me that I shortlist as well, this is an insider tip as to what the recruiting manager or what the interviewers are thinking. So you know that it's not everything that is a negative that you feel is a negative. It's not everything that is a negative, especially with the scoring as well. We've gone through the scoring. I think I've done like 3 different lives on the scoring, how you can move yourself from getting a 0 to getting a 5. So we've done all that as well. So I don't think you should, yeah, be able to say that because of you bringing in a script sheet, you will be marked down now. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, AT. Thank you for community nursing. Possible questions for community nurses. Let me think. I don't know. Let me see. Um, let me try and find some questions for you. Thank you so much. Yeah. For 80, so you can have I don't know if you want to write this down. How would you handle a difficult patient or family in the community? That's a possible question that might come up during community nurses, because it's about you going into people's homes, it's about you interacting with them one to one. How would you describe a time you identified a high risk in the community, or describe a time you recognize a safeguarding issue while working in the community. How would you deal with that kind of situation, or how would you escalate that kind of situation? Um, that's another good one for community nursing. Um, or you could explain that you could tell us about a time that you had to work with limited resources because you're in the community. You have this bag that you have to carry about. So how were you able to work with limited resources? Could you describe a time that you had to do that? So yeah, so those are a couple, like three questions with regards to community nursing. I would want you to practice these questions, making sure that you're putting the star method at the back of your mind when you're answering these questions. Please, can you copy and paste one supporting statement for a job and edit it for a new job role? Yes, that's what way 3 me yay. I think you've been on my live before. I think so. I think I remember your name. Yes, you can, but like I said, each trust, although the roles are similar, each trust there are slight differences in terms of what the person specification entails. So you would need to ensure that you're looking at each of the jobs that you're applying for to make sure that it's very similar. You might need to tweak some things in the supporting information, even though like maybe the qualification parts, it might be the same in terms of that part might be the same for most of the jobs that you apply for. But when it comes to skills and experience or other duties, or I don't know, I had one of those. Yeah, I had one of those applications up before. So maybe your experience and knowledge, the criteria for that role in maybe in Manchester might be slightly different from the one in Liverpool. So you need to ensure that you're differentiating the information that you write in each of the supporting statements. Because when I'm reading a supporting statement, or when I'm scoring a supporting statement, and I've asked you about um what's it called, ability to provide quality care, and you're telling me about your um ability to organize your own time effectively. Although that might be part of what is needed in that role, you've not answered my question of ability to provide quality care. Maybe in this role you might need it, but in the other role that you applied for, it wasn't stated there, even though it might have been stated in the job description itself, but it wasn't stated in the person specification for that role. So you have to look at each of the roles and each of the person specification, make sure that they're similar, nearly 99% match, for you to use the same supporting statements or supporting information for the same job. I apply for loads of people. I might even apply for, like, even if it's a midwife role, I might apply for that for a client, and I know that I've written midwife applications. I've done a fair share of them, and none one of them are the same. Not one of them have been the same. Even in my roles that I applied for my own job, none of the roles are the same. What the HR business partner does in Trust A is not the same what the HR business partner does in Trust B. So you need to ensure that you're looking at the person specification. The person specification is what you need to answer the supporting information, supporting statement. That is your bread and butter for answering that thing. You need to please always group it into the subheadings that they put it in there. So you write the qualification, answer all the questions on qualification in one, under one. Then you go to the next one, experience and knowledge, answer it in one. You might decide to kind of, maybe the experience and knowledge was the second thing. You might decide to put that as the last, then you move the skills to the second thing that you're answering. But as long as you are answering everything that has been written in the person specification, you will be fine. It's all right, 80. It's all right that you're late. Yeah, we're still here. Um, Data entry clerk. Oh, I think questions for data entry clerks would be around data management, data, how to understand data, how to I haven't done data um entry clerk, so I'm not sure what kind of questions they're going to be coming out for that one. So I'm not sure, truthfully, Farida, with data entry clerk, unless I have a look at the job description and person specification for me to be able to really give you let's go online and find some data entry clerk questions and answers. Let's find some data entry what's it called, data entry questions. uh yeah, let's find some for you. um oh Lord. Okay, Farida, a good question is, tell me about the time you had to enter a large amount of data under a tight deadline. Describe a time you found an error in the data and what did you do about it. Give me an example of how you ensure accuracy in your work. What's this? Sorry. Yeah. What other question? How do you manage multiple tasks at once? That's a good one. Another good one is, can you share an example of working with confidential information? Oh, how can you? I hope that's answered your question, Farida. I hope that's answered your question. I keep saying I'm going to leave soon. You keep asking me questions and keep making me stay on. Kaizid, you asked, how can one transfer skills from a procurement background to become an occupational therapist? That's a very good question. Uh, I don't know. Are there any transferable skills? You can time management, occupational therapist, your listening, your communication, procurement, occupational therapists. Yeah, communication skills would be good because in terms of data, um, your report writing can be another good one for occupational therapists, because with an occupational therapist, you're going to have to write a lot of reports, same as with the procurement as well. You're going to do a lot of business cases analysis that you're going to do for tendering and all that. So that might be a good one for you to be able to do that transferable skills into an occupational therapist role. Um, I think time management, teamworking might be another good one for you to be able to transfer into being an occupational therapist, because you guys are going to be working in teams. You're not going to be a silo work and all that. So that might be another way for you to be able to transfer those skills into, from being a procurement into an occupational therapist. Your confidentiality, data handling, because you were going to be doing a lot of data and managing a lot of confidential and information as well. So yeah, so all of that can be easily, I think there's some transferable skills in there for you to be able to transfer into being a occupational therapist. I hope that's answered your question, KZ. I really appreciate all these hearts and all the follows, all you becoming fans of mine as well. Yeah, I really do appreciate it a lot. Yeah. Uh, you're welcome, Connie. I know I keep saying I want to go. Yeah, yeah, but I'm really trying to answer everybody's questions. Uh, 80, thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking people to part up. Thank you. Um, Estate officer, oh my goodness, you guys are really throwing in the admin work today. Estates, I think you're going to have questions about budgeting. You're going to have questions about collaboration, stakeholder management as well, finance, a lot of questions about finance in there as well for you with regards to estates officer roles. What else? Let me see. Yes. So, um, because I haven't had any clients with regards to this estate officers, I've had it one data analyst actually, person before. With estate, it's all about the building. So you're going to have to do with managing expectation of your clientele in and outside. So the people that you look after within the trust and your suppliers as well. So also questions around how you dealt with a difficult client or tenant or a contractor. You have questions about that. How you've managed multiple properties and competing priorities, how you've questions regarding improving process and systems, how you enforce policies, how you've enforced, especially when it comes to receiving payments or sending out, um, what's that thing called? When you request for money, PTO? Is it PTO? Forgetting what they're called now. When you request for money for when you're doing your invoices and all that, how do you manage that? How do you ensure that your suppliers are paying on time? How do you manage your budgets in your team and all that? Yeah, so those are the possible questions for what's it called, for estate officers I can think. Especially because you work with a lot of external contractors, you have a lot of um what are these people called? You have a lot of what's people called that you work with within the organizations. I've forgotten there's a word that we use for them. Stakeholders. Oh yeah. I know it was an S name. You have a lot of stakeholders that you're managing both internally and externally. How do you ensure that there's no conflict? How do you manage conflict? Um how do you communicate effectively? How do you ensure that everyone is kept up to date? How do you manage tight deadlines? How do you manage conflicting priorities? Yeah, so that kind of questions that I can think of at the back of my head with regards to asset officers. But if you were my client now, I would have to then really sit down, then really have a deep thinking as to the kind of questions I would want to be answering during that one. Yes. So, Farida, you did say you wanted to come up. My goodness, I don't know how to do this thing. Do you request it, or do you say you want to become a guest? Did, did I do it? I'm not sure if I did it. Let me know if I did it, Farida. For you. Oh, oh yeah, I did it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, good evening.
Good.
Thank you.
You're
You've
welcome.
answered my question.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yes. But yeah, I have an interview coming up, so I just needed to like pick and know what questions I should expect.
Yeah.
In terms of confidentiality, accuracy. And I'm a bit, I don't know. I just hope I do well.
Yeah. So, which one is it? Is that the data entry clerk and data
Yeah.
entry one? I did say to people here that I offer one-to-one coaching for interview prep. But since we're on here, I can give you some pointers in terms of kinds of questions that would come out in terms of confidentiality, working on confidential information and all that. You need to be able to say that. What you need to put at the back of your mind when you're answering those questions is that star. You need to paint that scenario. What's the situation in terms of confidentiality? So what happened that caused you to have to deal with this problem? That's what it is. So was there a data breach? Did someone request an information and needed it immediately? Or did someone come to you and say, oh, I need information about so and so person, but you don't know who this person is? You have to know how best to give that information. So your task in that in that situation was to try and see, is this the person? I think there's something that we do in the NHS: right person, right information, right time, right access, and things like that. I think I can't remember what it's called now. So you need to answer those questions, and if you're saying those right words when you're answering those questions for the interviewer, they know that you know what you're talking about. I think it's right person, right information, right time. I think you
Okay,
need to
is it
go.
possible to put it in a way like in the terms of a tax? I needed I probably I spoke to him politely, not or I spoke to the colleagues politely in order not to offend him.
Yeah, you can.
Same
You
thing I
definitely
needed
say
to
that. That's
confirm
part of
from
your.
right.
But that would be part of your actions. The
Okay.
task that you had to
Yeah,
perform was to
that's true.
give the right,
That's true.
to ensure that you gave the information to the right person, or ensure that you did not give the information to the person that has asked for it, if that person is not even meant to have that information in the first instance. So that's your
Yes,
task
I've
to
messed
to
it up. That's true.
yes, to identify if if that person is actually entitled to know that information. That's the task. And what were your
Okay.
actions that you performed in that situation? The action you performed was to try and figure out, is it the right person that is meant to receive this?
Yeah.
um, you spoke to the person politely, trying to explain to them that this is the process that you need to follow. Do they need to submit something? So you give them the right information, the right forms to fill in, and all that to request information. You followed the policy, you followed the GDPR rules, ensuring everything is in place, because you've done all the steps that you've taken to ensure that the situation that occurred is being looked at. That's ensuring that they've requested that information. So you're looking at the action that you're going to take to
Yeah.
provide or not to provide that information. And the result was that that person that came to you, for example, was not meant to get that information. But because you put all the safeguards things in place and you followed the policy, you followed the rules, you ensured that you documented properly and all that, the information did not get to the wrong hands. And on reflection, you felt that had I not followed the rules, I could have been in trouble. That would have resulted in a disciplinary. That would have might have resulted in me losing my job. That would have resulted in me getting a written warning. But on reflection, I'm able to then ensure that I'm following the rules, and this is now being part of what I do on a regular basis, making sure that all boxes are ticked, no matter
Yeah.
who that person is that is requesting that information. I'm still following the rule. That's the
Yeah.
reflective piece, because the NHS is all about reflection. You have to reflect on on what you've done to ensure that you get better, because it's always a learning curve for us in the NHS. We're always learning, we're always trying to improve. Improving lives is one of the values of the NHS. So when you're saying those kind of things in your answers, it does help.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a mini coaching session for you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
I
it. Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
please don't tell me I have
Then
99
how would
messages.
one deal with nervousness, like in terms of
I think you just need to fake it till you make it. Everyone is always nervous. Everyone is always nervous. You just need to fake it till you make it. I'm just hoping. Okay. I'm just praying that I don't have 99 messages. Yeah. Okay. No, I don't. Okay. You just have to fake it till you make it with nervousness. You just take a deep breath when you're going in. Just think about them as people. They're not there to bite you. They're not there. And one thing about interviewers is that when we're sitting at that other side, we're also nervous about ensuring that we're asking the right questions, because the same way that you feel that we're judging you, we also feel that you're judging us. So we need to ensure that we're saying the right things, we're acting right, because you can always request a FOI, freedom of information, as to what has been written during that interview, if you felt that we haven't done it fairly and all that, because the NHS is a very transparent organization. So we need to ensure that we are doing it fairly as well. So the same way that we're being, you're judging us. I mean, you feel that if we're judging you, we also feel that you're judging us as well. So we're always on our best behavior, and we're not there to trip you out. We're not there to have hidden questions inside the interview questions that we ask you. It's
yeah.
been well thought out. It's been well planned. the questions, the same question that if we're having 10 people that are interviewing or 20 people that are interviewing, it's the same set of questions that will be asked from everybody. So it's a fair process for everybody involved. So don't feel as if the interviewers are there to trip you out. They're not there to trip you out. Excuse me, they are just there to ensure that the right person is the one that gets through to the interview, into the role that they've advertised. Like I said, sometimes they do go out if they are not satisfied with the caliber of people that they shortlisted the first time, and during the interview that they were not satisfied with the answers that people have given, they do go back to interview again. Like I said, it's a buyer's market now. The NHS is under serious budget constraints that we've all been told that we need to cut costs. We have all been told that we need to save money. So every department, every team is saving money one way or the other. Instead of us having 10 staff, we might end up having only seven, and that seven people or that five people would have to do the job of 10 people. So they are quite discerning in terms of knowing the people that they're going to be recruiting for their roles. So you need to ensure that the interviews that you do and what you're saying is actually answering the question. Take a deep breath when they do ask you the question and just think about it. You can write it down. You can write
Can
down.
I ask? Is it possible to, like, when they ask a question, can you use how many seconds I need to stay, like, to pause about it, or
You can. It's not about you pausing about the answers. It's about you just giving yourself a couple of seconds. I would definitely don't stay more than 10 seconds or so in trying to answer that question. If they do ask that question, you can then when they finish answering the question, just carry your water because you have water in front of you. Carry your water and just have a quick sip. That sip can give you at least a couple of seconds to kind of recalibrate your brain and just let your brain activate for a couple quickly as well. That might help. So have a quick sip of water and just yeah,
answer?
yeah, and just answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. No worries. Yeah. Uh well, okay. Someone had a question. In scenario-based written questions in interviews, does it need the star also? Yes. The scenario is even where you need the star question, the star answer the most. Kwaye, Emmanuel. That is where that star answer comes into place the most. Oh, okay. Let me accept this person. I don't know if he's still there. Oh, he's still there. Yeah. The star answer, that's where it comes in the most. That scenario, it's a scenario. So they've asked you for a story. They've told you, tell us a time. Give us an example. When this happened, how did you? What did you do? Those are the scenario based questions, and you need to be able to tell a story in that. When you're telling your stories, don't make it too long. Maximum really 3 minutes for you to give that star answer. Maximum 3 minutes to give that star answer. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, IT.
Um, Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. I think you have been very, very helpful to some of us.
Oh, you're welcome.
I was late today, though.
It's all right. I do all these impromptu lives.
Yes, I'm trying to find a way I can just track the way you come on live, okay?
Oh,
So that I don't miss any of your sessions because it's been very helpful.
I think my life is
I'll be
how the
on.
spirit leads me, because I've finished all my clients for today, and my son went to sleep very early today as well. So I was like, let me just quickly jump on live because I hadn't been on live since Saturday, and I'm like, let me just quickly jump on live. And I think someone upset me as well. Someone came into my DM, or I think that's the DM in this place or so, and sent me their supporting statement. Bearing in mind, this person was on one of my previous lives where I said to the person that I do charge for reviewing supporting statements and all that. And the person then said, send me their supporting statement. I should review it. And I'm like, sorry, I cannot review your supporting statement for you. That I do charge for the services now. In, and the person just went off on, oh, there is God or something along those lines of that God did not, I think Jesus did not, it was just, I was just very upset with the
No,
statement the person made.
reviewing supporting statement is not part of the gospel. So
It's,
it's not part of the gospel, Sister Ruth.
it's not, but I think with that one, I was just very upset with the fact that for years I did this for people before the life of TikTok and all that. I did it for my friends and families. My friends would probably just call me and tell me, oh, that says, could you please help my friend with this job, or could you please help her look at this role, or could you please do this? Or it's not even just jobs, it's also reviewing contracts, helping them to navigate disciplinaries, grievances, and all that, dismissals, and all this kind of stuff. I do it for people free until I
Yes.
started helping people. I helped someone when she got dismissed, unfair dismissal, a couple of years ago. This is a couple of years ago. I helped her get some money from that
Okay.
unfair dismissal in terms of writing the letters, doing a lot of stuff, and all that. And this person got a lot of money, and this person did not even buy me chocolate or did not even give me flowers or thank you for all your help and all that, for helping me navigate this process. And I've been successful in getting this payout because it was an unfair dismissal, and my company paid me out and all that. I think it wasn't really about the fact that they did not buy me anything. It was the fact that they couldn't even acknowledge the amount of help that I gave them.
Well, I always say that some of us, we just overlook the amount of information and amount of help that we get from people like you.
Mm.
For instance, I'm somebody that I've already, like I told you the last time, I'm somebody that have already blown away 5 interviews.
Mm.
5. I moved from Scotland to Cornwall down south. I blew an interview there. I blew an interview at Manchester. Another interview at Cheshire.
Mm.
A couple of interviews. I've 5 interviews. I've blown them away. And now I have, the last time I spoke to you on the weekend, during the weekend, I
Yeah.
had one. And today too, I've had another one, community nurse and band 5,
Yeah.
that I'm preparing to go for to attend the interview. So some of us, we just overlook the amount of knowledge that we get from you, and it's very pathetic, very very pathetic.
Yeah.
But
And
let me just move on to my question.
yeah, move on to that was the thing I was going to
At what
say.
point? Yes. My question is, at what point, even though I've been getting some interviews, it's okay. But at what point do we have to incorporate the values of a trust in our supporting statement?
Some trusts ask that as specific questions in the for the supporting statements. Some of them will put it at the top, some of them will put it at the bottom as part of the other things that they would ask. So if they've asked that specifically, I would suggest for you to write it out and explain it there for them. If they haven't asked it specifically, by the time you finish answering your question, you can then put it as just your in conclusion. Put it at the bottom of it in conclusion. But in a lot of those trusts that haven't asked you specifically in your supporting statement or requested it to be written in the supporting statement, I would suggest that you put it in your answers. If you're lucky enough to be called for an interview, I would suggest that you put it in your answers when you're talking about your answers. If they ask you, tell us about yourself, you then start mentioning about yourself. You tell them how you imbibe or how the trust values is the same values that you have as well. And now that is very relatable to you as well. So if that trust part of their values is caring or something, or listening. You say, as I'm a person that listens to people, I listen, I take time to ensure that everything that people say to me is taken with a very listening ear. I'm very patient when I speak to people to ensure that I get the right information. And this is one of the trust values that you guys also have. Probably don't say guys. This is one of the trust, this is one of your trust values as well, which is something that I imbibe, and it's something that is part of me as well. I'm a very caring person. I care for all the people that are around me. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter your gender, age. There's no discrimination with me. I do care about every patient that I do encounter. Caring is a top priority for me. This is one of the reasons why I decided to become a nurse, because I care about people, from the care that I do give to my family or the care that I've experienced in the past propelled me to become a nurse. And one of the reasons why I wanted to become a nurse was because I wanted to care for people the same way I've been cared for. If you're
Okay.
putting in that trust values in your answers, even when you're talking, not just even the trust values, the NHS values as well, especially for nursing, you're talking about your NMC codes. You're talking about the values of the NMC as well, putting it in the answers that you're given. Even if they're asking about teamwork and you're asking about safeguarding, you're putting in the NHS values, you're putting in their values as well. Because a lot of organizations, we spend, because I work in HR, we spend a long time putting these values together. This is a lot of collaborative work, working with a lot of stakeholders internally and externally. So for us to be able to say, what is our trust about? What do we want people that are coming around to see about our trust? How are we presenting our trust to the world? That's what the values really is about. So if you are saying that that is the kind of person you are, you're telling us that you belong to us. That's what you're saying. If you're
Okay.
putting in the NHS values as well in your answers, you're telling us that you are living the NHS values. You understand the meaning of being an NHS worker. You understand the meaning of being an NHS nurse. If you are putting in the NMC code into your answers as well, you understand the reason why we have the NMC. You understand the safeguarding reasons, especially for safeguarding questions. If you're putting in the NMC codes and the NHS values in there, you will see that those answers are very robust. So practice using NMC codes, policies, and what's it called, conventions in your answers when you're answering those questions. I'm very worried that my phone was going to die very soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I
Thank you
hope
very
that's
much.
answered your question, and I'm hoping that would help you with your interviewing.
No,
Because,
I'll just get in touch. This is just prelims. I'll definitely get in touch with you.
yeah.
I don't want to blow these two opportunities. I'm hoping to get more interviews though, but I don't want to blow it
Yeah, definitely. Let me
at this
know.
stage.
I'm going to start putting out my calendar again, because I kind of blocked it out before because I had a lot of clients. So I think I might have some more space now. I'm going to put out my calendar
Okay.
again, for people to start booking in for, especially for interview. That does take time for us to go through. My
Okay.
battery is like 5%. I don't want to
Okay.
lose you
Okay.
guys.
I'll send
So
an email. Thank you very
no
much. Thank you.
worries. I hope everyone has my email address. Send me a message on here, everyone, if you do need help, because I do offer that consultancy, one-to-one consultancy. Send me an email in here. Let me see if I can quickly send my email address again before my phone dies, which I think is about 4% now. Um, This is my email address. If anyone wants to reach out to me for one-to-one coaching, one-to-one help, yeah, my battery is about to die. It's about 4% now. I'm sure my face is like really dark. So I'll try and come online another time, probably sometime this week or maybe on Saturday as well. If I don't come online before Saturday, I mean, if I don't come online this week, during the week, I'll try and come online. I don't know how to pin, I'm sorry, but it's up there. It's the human resources playbook at gmail.com, or send me a message on TikTok here or on YouTube. Go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are loads of information on there. I don't want this thing to just die off without me saying a proper bye bye. Thank you everybody for the hearts. Thank you a lot for the follows. Thank you a lot for the making this live very interactive as well. I do not take it for granted. Um, I'm your girl. If you do need any help, please let me know, and I would try as much as possible to help as best as I can. Until next time when I come around again, take care, everybody. Bye. Have a good night. Bye. Bye, YouTube. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for interacting, and thank you so much for watching as well. I do appreciate it. It's been an immense session with everyone. Take care. Have a good evening, everybody.